recording? Yeah. All right. So you might get this. This is an error that sometimes you will get. This happens in like Photoshop too. If you move your source images, right, or in Illustrator, if you move your source images, you're gonna get this image. So you can just hit locate, and then it'll like you can search for your video and find it. Okay. So that's why it's just important to keep your stuff organized. But you can always re-find it. So if it gives you that media offline, it means like maybe you deleted your video, you put it in another folder, and the software can't find your video. Does that make sense to everybody? That's a really common error. Okay, so a couple things that we're gonna do right now is I'm just gonna show you how to work with some of the effects that come with Premiere itself. If Premiere will cooperate. Why are you mad, Premiere? Okay, so this is the effects panel, okay, and your effect controls. We're gonna learn about keyframing. We're probably gonna work on keyframing and like actual controlling motion on Monday because it's a little more advanced. But some of the really simple things that you can do when you click on a material. I just made sure that I was in the effects panel. You have all these different like ways of viewing your screen. I just want the effects panel. This is also up in Window Effects if you can't find it. Some things that we can do in this program. Okay, so here's your opacity. We can set our opacity to different flavors. This is also a really simple technique for, layering video. Let me see if I can. So this is actually two videos layered on top of each other, one with some opacity. Okay, so opacity is a really easy effect that you can do. And then here's your blend modes as well. Okay, so this is also how you can come up with some really interesting effects. Here's your blend modes. If you double click on a video, this is where this fit and size comes into play a little bit. So if you double click on a video, you can get all of your, you can edit it, right? So we can scale it, okay? We can rotate it, all right? So you can kind of do a bunch of different stuff. You can make this really big, all right? And so here's my blend modes. So I can actually be bringing in different blend modes here. So here's lighten. Okay, so here's two videos. One sort of changing the orientation, and one with a blend mode on top of it, so you can get these really interesting effects, all right? And you can just kind of mess with the blend modes until here's difference. All right, so you can get some really, really interesting effects, especially if you have something that has like a really solid shape, right? You can put that on top of something that's like more ambient in the background, and you can make a really interesting composition, okay? So that's in effects, and that's just gonna be in opacity. You also have a lot of motion controls, so I'll switch over here. Okay, so motion, we won't worry about this too much for now. I'll just give you a really, really quick tutorial on what you can actually do with this. So again, you can change the position by double clicking on the video material. You can drag it around. You can also use the position up here. And then here's your scale as well, but you can do these just like you can, edit a piece of material in Photoshop or Illustrator. Here's your rotation. Okay, so you can rotate things. But some of the things that you can do, I'm going to do a whole lesson on keyframing when we get in class on Monday. But we can keyframe things, okay? So we can turn on a keyframe. We can say at this point in time, the rotation that you're going to have is 0. Then I can scrub to another point in time and say at this point in time, the rotation that you're going to have is going to be 90. And what that does is it creates an animation over time. Okay, so that's called keyframing. That's kind of like the bread and butter of animation is keyframing. So if you want to try keyframing for your homework, feel free to do so, experiment with it, but we're going to do a whole tutorial on keyframing on Monday. Yes?
So you can't actually use one of the videos from that bottom left library and then use the effects on that. You actually have to bring it into the, you
can only edit stuff that's in the timeline.
Okay.
Yeah. These are just These are just here for you to use and reuse, and you can use compositions and other compositions. Okay, that's why it's set up that way. This is just your material. This is like a unique instance of you affecting the material. Okay, so that's a really, really fast and dirty version of keyframing. Other things that you can do under effects here, there's an effects panel up here. So you have your immediate effects that come with every single material that you bring in, okay? But some of the other things that you can do over in the effects panel, for instance, we have video effects, okay? Underneath video effects, we have a bunch of different effects. So we have like all the things that you can do in Photoshop, blur and sharpen, color correction, distort. So for instance, like here's spherize. Let's try this one. Okay, you just highlight the material you're working with, double click on it. What is happening? My bad. So highlight the material you're working with, double click on it. It'll bring it into your effects panel, okay? And then you can say like how much you would like to spherize your video, okay? You can also keyframe this, right? So turn on the keyframe. I want it to start at 0, and then scrub to the end of the clip, make a change, and then you can make this really bizarre effect animation. Okay? So these, I would highly encourage you to just grab some of these. Let's see like what, ooh, turbulent displace is nice. It makes things nice and lumpy. Okay? So here's what turbulent displace can do. All right? So it kind of makes your videos wavy. And then, you know, you can just kind of like mess with the amounts of things. You can also keyframe this. All right, so here's how you can mix in effects to even make your videos like even more wonky. Okay, so effects, I would highly encourage you to just kind of like grab these and mess with them. Other things that are pretty easy, anything under distort is pretty easy. Your color correction, for instance, here's your brightness contrast. Here's your tint, right? So let's say you want to kind of like, maybe you want this to be all purples. We can put a tint on it. And again, these just add to your effects panel. So you can put like a 2-color tint on it. So I can say I want it to be maybe one shade of purple and then, you know, maybe a darker shade of purple.
So they gotta have like transparency on that side too, right? Probably.
Well, no, this is just an effect that will like allow you to work with the color and change it to 2-color. I don't know what you mean by transparency.
Like
yeah.
Transparency per clip.
Well, transparency, opacity is everything comes with opacity.
Oh,
All these other effects are add-ons, and you can turn them off by this little effects marker here. Okay. You know, let's say you don't want to do the tint. You can do color balance is another good one. Here's your color balance. You can jack up the amount of red, turn down the amount of greens. Okay, so you can have like a lot of control over like how the colors actually render out in your individual clips, okay? And also what's nice about these is, you know, all of your videos are going to be different, but you can actually copy and paste these. So you can copy a clip and then paste it onto another clip, so you can reuse these effects once you get them to work in the way that you want to. Okay, a couple other things. This is just a short tutorial. You can watch this for homework and kind of follow up with it to add into your video. You can also mask stuff, okay? You used to only be able to do this in After Effects, but you can do it in Illustrator now, which is really nice. So when you select a video, let's see, where's that? I think that's going to be in, is it motion, opacity? Okay, so underneath opacity, you have some masks. Okay, so if you create an ellipse mask, it'll automatically mask your video into an ellipse. Okay, so let's say I want to put this over this, and I just want one circle of this piece of material. You can scale the whole mask. You can make it bigger, smaller, etc., etc. Okay, so you can actually sort of clip your video into shapes. The way that you can do that, you can also do custom shapes, okay? So here's a square mask, right? So you can square mask something. You have a mask feather, so you can feather it, right? So here's like a nice little feathery shape. You can kind of barely see it, all right? But you can also draw your own masks. This is where it gets magical. Again, this is under opacity. Here's your pen tool, just like in Illustrator. So you can actually draw your own mask. All right? You have your Bezier curves. Okay, switch back to our arrow. You can kind of manipulate it. Okay, so here's the same video composition, but now one video composition is masked into this shape, and here's where things get really crazy. You can keyframe your mask path. Y'all ready for this? Here's how you turn on the keyframe, this little watch. I'm going to start at the beginning of my clip, turn on the keyframe. I want the individual modules of the mask, the little points, to stay where they are for right now. Okay? And then what I'd like to do is, why won't you let me select the mask? Okay, so I've turned on the keyframe, make sure I select the mask. I'm going to move to another part of my video, and then I'm going to make some changes. So I'm going to make this mask actually change into a different shape. Okay, so this is again the magic of keyframing. So now you can have your sort of like lumpy shape or whatever you want change over time into a different shape. Okay? So again, I'll go over masking really specifically and all the different things that you can do with it. But that's just one really quick example of how you can actually, like all the things that you're doing in Illustrator, you can do plus time, right? Okay, last thing, we just have 10 minutes left. I appreciate your patience here. We also have, maybe we won't even get into After Effects today because Premiere lets you do a lot of stuff that you used to not be able to do. So let's try it out. I'm going to close this one. And I'm going to get 2 videos that have a black background kind of stacked on top of each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at keying right now, okay? So keying is how you can sort of select like one color of your video and cancel it out, kind of like a green screen, okay? So this is what you would do if you had green screen footage. You want to get rid of your background, but for us, it's just to sort of like play up our glitch effect. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to select this color key. Okay, and then I'll go into the effects of this one. Okay, so now I have this color key on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this eyedropper, and I'm going to select the color that I want to key out. Okay, so the color that I want to key out, if it will let me, well, is going to be black. So I can actually just choose black. And what it does is when I move this video around, see how it's canceled out all the black and it's made it transparent? I can also do the color tolerance, all right? So, and then my edge thin. So I can actually make it like really, really clean and then maybe give it a little bit of an edge feather. So now I have this video that kind of has these like transparent qualities to it, all right? So just so you can see this a little better, maybe throw it on something. I don't really have. Let's see. Do I have anything that is a solid background? Yeah, okay. Let me move this over here. So as you can see now, I have this one. It used to have a black background, so if I turn this off, it used to have a black background. See, that's the black background, and now I've gotten rid of the black background. And, you know, you can really mess with this so you can get as much video back as you want. If you like that sort of like black edge, you can get that back. You can also select like other colors. So let's say I want to get rid of like, I don't know, all the blues because I have some like light blues in here. You can select like a light blue. And it'll kind of cancel out all the light blues. Now that wasn't like super, you should be able to grab this and then select a color. Oh, there we go. It's sort of letting me do it. It's a little mad at me. But you should be able to grab it and then kind of like select a color. And for instance, it'll take out all of this color. Okay, so that's a really easy way that you can just get rid of your backgrounds, and then you can start like mixing things in on top of each other. So if you have something like I've seen a lot of you do a lot of things with like the point cloud and stuff, that'll be like really, really beautiful on top of like another layer of video. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it there.